This is the Oz report for December 7th, 2024. Let's jump over to the dashboard and quickly look at Plex and Plex adjacent items before we jump into the game client, because Plex is up another 2.5%. That is bad news. As you all know, if you listen to the show regularly, Plex prices are at historically high prices. We're approaching, 6.2, 6.3 million. And the reason for this is because we have a massive new Eden sale going on. And that has far-reaching implications beyond Plex. Now, right now, the starter packages, so the bronze, gold, silver, and platinum packages are on sale. They're one time only, so if you've bought them before, you can't buy them again. If you're curious, the bronze and the platinum packages are very, very good value. We went through that. We covered it on stream earlier. So, go out and buy them on sale right now. They're fantastic value. Now, what this does is, one, it drives up the Plex price because they are good value, but two, also, right now, it's also driving down the skill extractor prices because the Platinum Pack includes 10 skill extractors, which most people that are buying the Platinum Pack for its value are just not going to use. They're just going to dump it on the market. That means huge market opportunity right now. You can just go and buy skill extractors at around 475 million ISK on buy orders, and they fulfill quite quickly. So if you're listening to this while the sale is still going on, make sure you invest there if you have some ISK left over. Now, Plex, as I said, Plex is approaching 6.2 million. It even spiked higher than that. So that's not great. It's also, there's very, very little available. The last weeks we were already approaching 0.1 trade days available for Plex. Now we're just below it. We're at 0.05 or something. So Plex overall continues to be an issue for CCP, and if they don't run some major Plex sales soon, this is not going to be alleviated either. At least I don't see a way. One thing that CCP is doing is they're actually, for what I think is the first time, implementing Plex as a reward on the event campaign in the agency. So for the Winter Nexus event that just started, if you complete it fully, you get 100 Plex and I think around 650,000 skill points. And so, it's tedious, presumably. It's not just the login campaign; it's actually the event campaign where you have to do things. So, but if enough people do it, maybe it will be a small relief on Plex, and it's clear that CCP is trying out things. Right? They're trying to reward people with Plex for doing daily things, which, one, is probably a big motivation, but two, can also alleviate a little bit of the Plex pressure that we're seeing in the game right now. Now, if we're looking at things that are trending up quickly, two things that stick out here are, one, Amber mycosarosin and Golden mycosarosin. So Golden is up 20%, Amber is up 50%, and that is massive, right? In the last months, we've always seen those drop because they were removed from all faction subcaps, where they used to have a huge role to play in the market. What we are seeing now in this week, I believe, is some of the people that lost their dread or capital last Friday in the big brawl between Init and Frat and friends, replacing some of their ships. So you have to know there isn't that much mycosarosin out on the market. We also talked about that just before going live here on stream, because there just isn't that much demand. Demand for mycosarosin spikes based on these large battles. If something has to be replaced, then all of a sudden the market needs a lot. But overall, the market needs very, very little currently. And so players that may even have large stockpiles are not going to put it all onto the market, just speculating for a large fight. they will much rather see spikes like this, a 50% spike, and then put it on the market when they see that happen. And so, very difficult market situation. Very difficult also to take advantage of, but certainly right now, if you know some of the large producers that are producing for the large alliances that might be replacing some stuff here, then better contact them directly and make some larger deals off the market rather than putting large sell orders on the market. Because the way this goes is typically they will, if alliances do decide to buy gas in JITA, they're going to buy it in large quantities all at the same time because a lot of them aren't that patient, right? So that is trending up. The other thing trending up is raw moon materials. We see thulium up 27% and cadmium up 23%. So we are seeing moon materials rebounding still from the Metanox changes. And here we have 3% up in raw moon materials. They're now trending above 52-week average again. So I think overall, a culmination of increasing production with the goons settled now in their new home, and also larger battles happening, and on the other hand also the Metanox changes that are still pushing raw moon materials up, probably slightly, but we're now at a fairly regular prices. If you look at some of the R4 moon materials, they're still very, very, very cheap. So hydrocarbons, for example, still very, very cheap. And so that's probably not going to change, because that's going to be basically what's being replaced by passive moon mining through Metanox moon drills. Now, what else do we have trending down? We have agency drugs. So the Winter Nexus event is going to drop agency drugs again. And so some of these are going to come down in price. We saw the history of these agency drugs as presented here by Hardshell Dose 4 in the background. If you're looking at the video, you can see that they were removed from login rewards, where they increased very quickly in price. And then they were also removed from a lot of the login rewards. And so now there was a bottleneck, but then we had the Crimson event first, and now we have the winter event. So that's going to at least flush a little bit more supply into the system again for agency drugs to be available. If you want to invest in them, end of December, early January, right before the Winter Nexus event ends, is a good time to stock up on these, because they're probably going to rise in price again. Let's look at in short supply. Logic circuits. Interestingly, logic circuits were quite cheap. They are salvage materials. They're some of the most highly traded salvage materials in terms of trade value. They are still quite cheap compared to their 52-week average, and they are in very, very low supply right now, and they're rising in price. And so logic circuits, if you can grab some of these right now on buy orders, fantastic, do it. You can do a little bit of this, as Silver OXD says in chat. Dreads need T2 rigs. Yep. A lot of the replacement dreads and capitals might be also using logic circuits to build T2 rigs, and so right now might be a good time to actually go in there and profit on that market swing, because the overall prices are still quite cheap. So there's not a lot of risk to buy in on these. Yeah. You can see that another booster gas here, Viridian Microcerosin, also in short supply and rising. So another one that you could invest in. Let's quickly talk about Zydrine. Zydrine is in our trending down list. However, Zydrine is still very, very expensive, and still, from the rise we saw 2 weeks ago, is still in a place where if you haven't sold yet, because you bought a bunch of them, because I have been telling you for a year to do so. If you still have some, it's still a good time to sell. So 2,200 price of Zydrine is still fantastic. So if you have them, sell them. It's quickly becoming one of the bottlenecks in the current system, and so right now is certainly a time to sell them. I don't think it's going to hold this price level for long. And so I think that about covers it for today. Quickly on Hypercores, I know a lot of you are holding these with the intent of selling them for profit. They dropped down again 5% after they had been rising quite steadily. I don't know why. It might be just some people cashing out from the initial push because they got cold feet, and so I don't think there's a structural issue here. I think they're going to be slowly rising in the long run. So we'll be fine, but it's going to take a long time, as I've said very, very frequently. There's more hypercores out there than are needed in the short run. Yeah, but since somebody mentioned this in chat, you can't really compare the volume charts here with the used hypercores because, yes, this volume spike in October means that a lot of hypercores were traded. On the other hand, people were able to buy hypercores directly with Plex before. And so if you look at pre-March, like if you look at down here, pre-March, the low volume here just means that people weren't buying their hypercores in the market because it was cheaper to buy hypercores directly through Plex. Now that Plex is incredibly expensive and hypercores are cheap, people are buying it on the market. So you can't compare the post-March and pre-March volume numbers to the actual use of the system. All right, but that's just a side note. Okay. So if you want to check all of this, the Oz.space is now live, and you can find an up-to-date Oz report dashboard there at any point in time. It's now linked to my Google Sheet, so go there if you want to check out the numbers on the fly during the week. All right, we're going to return to the regular stream, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.